the 21st of May, 2026, Thursday morning. Our reading from the Common Buddhist Text, Guidance and Insight from the Buddha. The chief editor of this compilation is Dr. Maha Dhamma Kosaja. We are in Chapter 7 on ethics. We previously have covered the perspective of the Theravada tradition on ethics, the perspective of the Mahayana tradition on ethics. We are currently in the Vajrayana tradition on ethics. We're picking up on the perfection of patient acceptance. The following passages from the 14th chapter of the Jewel Ornament of Liberation discusses the perfection of patience, the patient's acceptance of difficult and painful situations, and of challenging teachings. Why we need patience. This passage is a meditation on the disadvantages of not having patience and the advantages of having it. One may be generous and ethically disciplined, but still one can easily get angry if one does not have patience. If one gets angry, then all one's wholesome roots, created through generosity, ethical discipline, and other means, can at once come to naught. As it is taught in the collections of the great bodhisattvas, anger can destroy your wholesome roots amassed through 100,000 eons. Also, in engaging in the conduct for awakening, one deed of anger can defeat all your good actions of generosity, offerings made to the Tathagatas, and so forth, that you have been collecting for thousands of eons. Moreover, unless you have patience, you can be beset by hatred, causing such a sharp pain to arise in your heart as if it was pierced by poisonous arrows, so that you will no longer have any joy or peace of mind. You will not even be able to sleep. As engaging in the conduct of awakening says, gripped by the painful feeling of hatred, one's mind cannot have any peace at all. Unable to get any joy or happiness, one cannot fall asleep nor find any stability. And again, in brief, nobody can live peacefully with anger in their hearts. Moreover, if you do not have patience, every time you get angry, you will put a wrathful appearance, making your husband or your wife and all your companions feel depressed and annoyed. They will not come near you even if you give them food and gifts. As it is said, your loved ones will be disheartened. They may be attracted by what you give them, but they will always not trust you. Moreover, if you do not have patience, Madahos, the illusioner, will find the opportunity to give you trouble. As taught again in the collections of the great beings of bodhisattvas, whoever is overcome by anger will give Mara a chance to cause him trouble. Moreover, if you do not have patience, the sixth perfection of the paramis, the path to Buddhahood, will be incomplete, and you will be unable to attain unsurpassed awakening. As taught in the Noble Collection, how could one become enlightened if one is angry or impatient? On the other hand, if you have patience, it is the supreme among all wholesome roots. As it is said, there is no evil like hatred, and no austerity like patience. Therefore, one should make efforts to practice patience in every way. Dhammapada, verse 184. Moreover, if you have patience, you will even obtain all kinds of temporary worldly pleasures. As it is said, whoever defeats anger by meditative absorption jhana will be happy in this life and the hereafter. Again, if you have patience, you will reach unsurpassed awakening. As the meeting of the Father and the Son Sutra says, If you always meditate on loving kindness, thinking anger is not the way to awakening, that is how you will attain awakening. This verse, this passage, is cited from the Jewel Ornament of Liberation, page 227 to 229. What is patience? This passage gives a short definition of patience and lists the three types, which are then discussed in the three passages that follow. Patience, where something is defined as not being concerned by it, as taught in the stages of the great beings of Bodhisattvas. In brief, the patience of a person is defined as undisturbed state of mind and a lack of concern about anything but compassion. There are three types of patience. Patience in the sense of being unconcerned about those doing you harm. Patience in the sense of undertaking the painful, and patience in the sense of understanding the Dhamma. The first one is to arrive through examining the nature of sentient beings who are doing the harm. The second is a thorough analyzing the nature of pain. And the third is a thorough investigation or investigating the actual nature of arisen phenomenon. The two types of patience are practiced from the relative point of view, while the third is from the ultimate point of view. This is cited from the Jewel Ornament of Liberation, page 229 to 230. Being unconcerned about those doing one harm. Besides describing the nature of the first type of patience, this passage introduces a method of cultivating patience towards sentient beings that are perceived as harm doers. The first type of patience means tolerating those who do not want one's belonging such disagreeable things as beating, criticizing, insulting, or exposing one's hidden flaws, or to those who create obstacles to the fulfillment of one's desires. And what does it mean to tolerate them? It means not being upset by them, not retaliating, not holding any resentment. The cultivation of patience by meditative absorption. The stages teaches that patience should be cultivated by performing 5 conceptualizations. There are, as the text put it, conceptualization of the harm doers as dear to one's heart, the conceptions of being only phenomenon, the conception of impermanence, and the conception of dukkha, suffering, the conception of taking responsibility. Conceptions of harm doer as dear to one's heart. You should think, this being who is now doing me harm must have been my mother, father, sister, brother, or a teacher in a previous life. He must have helped me before in innumerable ways, so I must not retaliate for doing me this harm. Thus be patient with the harm doer by conceiving of him as someone dear to your heart. The conception of being only arisen phenomenon. You should think this harm doer depends on conditions. There is just conception. There is only phenomenon. There is not anyone, not any inherent existence, sentient being, any living being, any soul here who is beating, criticizing, insulting me, or who is exposing my hidden flaws. Try to develop patience by thinking in this way. The conception of impermanence. You should think, sentient beings are impermanent, subject to death and decay. The worst damage that can happen is one losing one's life, and since everybody is going to die anyway, no one's life should be taken. Try to develop patience by thinking in this way. The conception of dukkha, suffering. You should think all sentient beings suffer from three kinds of suffering. I should try to dispel these rather than cause them much more suffering. Try to develop patience towards the harm doer by conceiving of him as someone who is suffering. The conception of taking responsibility. Since I have aroused the awakening mind, I should be working for the benefit of all sentient beings. I have taken responsibility for all sentient beings as taking responsibility for my wife. Having taken responsibility for them in that way, it is inappropriate to retaliate for such small insults. Try to develop patience by thinking in this way. This is cited from the Jewel Ornament of Liberation, page 230 to 233. The patience of undertaking the painful. The next type of patience is enduring the difficulties of the Buddhist path, which is said to be heroic endeavor. The patience of undertaking the painful means to never get upset with the pains involved in the path for accomplishing unsurpassed awakening, but to undertake them with a joyful heart. According to the stages of awakening, there are 8 types of painful things to be undertaken, such those related to places and so forth. In actual fact, they are as follows. Having renounced the world, one must undertake the pains of seeking Dhamma, robes, alms, and so forth. Then there are pains coming from the effort needed to make the offerings, to attend and honor the 3 jewels and spiritual masters, to listen to the Dharma, to receive explanations, to recite prayers, to meditate, and to practice yoga without sleeping in the first and the last watches of the night, as well as the pains coming from the effort needed to perform the earlier aforementioned 11 things to benefit sentient beings. All those painful things are to be undertaken without concern about hardship, fatigue, feeling hot or cold, hunger or thirst, or any kind of mental disturbance. It is like undertaking the painful treatment of a bloodletting in order to recover from a severe disease, or as taught in engaging in the conduct for awakening. The pain of my working for awakening is limited. It is like pain of inflicting a wound on the body in order to remove a thorn stuck within. If you can undertake the painful aspects of practicing the Dharma in this way, then you will be a great hero who will have repelled the attack of samsara and defeat the foe that it is the mental defilements. In the world, someone who slays ordinary enemies that would die anyway is called a hero. Yet he is not a hero at all. It is as if he was stabbing his sword into corpses, as it is stated, engaging in the conduct for awakening. Those who have slain all the pain, defeated the enemies that are hatred and the rest of the mental defilements, are victorious heroes. The rest are as if they were already dead, killing corpses. This is cited from the Jewel Ornament of Liberation, page 235 to 236. Patience in understanding the Dharma. The third and last type of patience is putting up with the difficulty comprehending the profound Dharma teaching. Patient acceptance, which is open to depth and challenges. In particular, it refers to the ultimate patience of tolerating the teachings and experience of emptiness. Short definition is supplemented by an illusionary story of the words from my perfect teacher. Patience in understanding the Dhamma, according to the stages, means having faith in the 8 subjects, such as good qualities of the 3 jewels and so forth. Furthermore, it means having faith and patience with respect to the fact of suchness, the emptiness of both identities. The Jewel Ornament of Liberation, page 235 to 236. The noble Lord Ashtista was once visited by 2 Hindu monks who were abiding by the 12 good qualities of training. First, he gave them the teachings of the absence of personal identity, and both of them were very happy. But when he started telling them about the lack of identity of other risen phenomenon, they became frightened and begged him not to talk like that. They heard him quoting from the profound sutras. They blocked their ears. The noble Lord Ashtista became upset and told them, unless you train yourselves in the awakening mind of loving kindness and compassion and develop trust in the profound dharma of emptiness, you will not get anywhere by just keeping your vows intact. This is cited from the words of my perfect teacher, page 397 to 398. We will leave off there on chapter 7 on ethics from the Vajrayana tradition perspective, as we pick up at the perfection of vigor in practicing the Dharma. This is a reading from the common Buddhist text, Guidance and Insight from the Buddha. Chief editor of this compilation, Dr. Mahadhamma Kosajan.